Hey guys, how you doing today? Welcome to Millionaire Mafia. I'm Jake Chambers. I really appreciate you guys clocking in with me today. Got my fresh shave on, and I'm supporting the HMLA 773 Red Dogs. And the reason I'm supporting them today is because one of my good friends, Eddie, just retired after 24 faithful years of service to the Marine Corps. He is helicopter pilot instructor, did multiple tours to Iraq and Afghanistan, and was a fellow instructor with myself, teaching young Navy, Marine, and Coast Guard, as well as foreign national helicopter students to earn their wings and go and then fly fleet aircraft. Well, he just retired yesterday, and he, was gracious enough to invite myself and my family there, and we went and had a good time. I actually saw a couple of his, good friends. He's a little bit older than me, so he had a couple of buddies, and they used to be my instructors when I learned how to fly the Cobra. I used to play softball with them, so it was really cool to see some of those guys that are out in California. But it made me, seeing Eddie yesterday, and if you haven't been a part of either a promotion ceremony or a retirement ceremony, it is so cool. And I mean, a lot of times when you go to these things, you're like, everybody's the hero of the story, and you got to make them sound really good and everything. And I'm telling you, they did all that. Except for it's true, because Eddie was such a great guy, is a great guy, but was such a great guy and was such a great Marine officer during his time on active duty. And now he's going to go and spend time, some well-earned time with his family, and go figure out what he's going to do on the outside. Eddie, if you ever watch this video, congratulations, and Semper Fidelis. Thank you for your service and for your love of the Corps and for what you did for all the Marine pilots that you've trained and influenced in a positive way throughout your career. So thank you and congratulations. A lot of us, for example, Eddie, he's got 3, daughters that obviously look up to them, and they're great kids. I've coached them on our soccer teams, and I've gotten kids as well. And I have, very fond memories of my dad and of my grandpa. Fortunately, my dad is still around. My grandpa died several years ago, but, which is unfortunate, but he was a great man and taught me a lot about, baseball, about fishing, things like that. And I mean, he was great to be around, relatively quiet until he got fired up on the baseball field or the football field or something like that by a bad call or something like that, or something that was going on. But, him and my dad had a heavy influence on my career and my life and the way that I, raise my kids and the way I run my business and the way I coach and the way I instruct and things like that. Now, obviously took my own flair and did my own things. Obviously, everything that my dad, my grandpa did wasn't perfect and right, just like everything that I do with my kids isn't the best thing. So we teach our kids and our students and our team to take the good and use that in their toolbox and then use that to make themselves better. This video is going to be titled Lessons from Great Men. And I've got 15 to go through. Most of them I'm just going to kind of buzz through. A couple of them I'm going to stop on. But these have had a very big impact in my life. They are by no means an all-encompassing, all-inclusive list of the things I learned, but they're 15 of the things that I remember most in my life, and throughout my career that my dad or my grandpa have kind of taught me. They have helped me, helped to formulate my values and my ethics as a man, as a Marine, as a business owner, as a husband, and as a father and as a friend. So here we go. Without further ado, 15 lessons from great men. And the first one is never shake a man's hand sitting down. That one just kind of bothers me. It's just a courtesy thing, right? So when somebody comes up to the table, you shake their hand. When a woman comes up to the table, you stand up until they sit down. Be respectful, respect somebody else, putting their hand out and shake their hand, right? Number 2, always hold the door for a lady. Whether you think she wants it or not, you hold the door. If she wants to make a snide remark, that's fine. Always hold the door. I stress this every time with my son. for my daughters and for my wife that he holds the door for them. Now, it doesn't mean that my daughters don't also hold the door for people out of respect for their elders, but teach your men, teach your boys, teach your sons to be respectful for women and to hold the door. Number 3, you have 2 ears, you have 2 eyes, and you have 1 mouth. God intended for us to use our ears and our eyes at least twice as much as our mouth. This is a big one. I'm just as guilty as most people, but we are very bad as a species at listening to people. And not just listening, but actively listening to actually hear what's going on. And I've actually learned it a lot more since I've started my own business and started dealing with customers and things and realizing their needs, right? When you're in the Marine Corps, 15 years in the Marine Corps, you have a mission. It doesn't matter really what people's feelings are, right? Yes, you have to take care of the health and morale and welfare of your troops, but at the end of the day, our opinion is really just very, very far second, right? So it's about the mission. So hey, whether you like it or not, go get it done. And there's just that mentality. But when you deal with civilians, especially and customers that are buying your product, you got to listen to what they're saying, or you're not going to get the sale. So make sure you're listening and actively listening. Really try and hear not only what the words are, but what they're trying to convey in that message. Okay. That's going to be huge, not only in your personal life, but also in your business life. That one, honestly, might be one of the most important ones that applies to business. This one's going to rub a couple people the wrong way, but I truly believe it. It's that there is a strong correlation between bike helmets and participation trophies. I'll let you think about that one for a second. I've been coaching soccer and softball and soccer for, this is our 7th year now for my kids. And we have predominantly done rec ball. We've done some travel leagues and things like that. But a lot of times in rec ball, everybody gets a trophy, right? Hey, thanks for playing this. And they phrase it as, hey, we want you to remember your time here and enjoy it and have this, memento and everything like that. And me personally, I think that's complete bullshit, right? I hate it. It drives me nuts. It makes me angry when we have awards night. And the reason is I don't just get angry and throw a tantrum, but I explain it to my kids. It's like, guys, the valuation of your achievement should not be a trophy or a piece of paper. In order to remember that you were playing soccer, guess what we do every year? We take pictures. There's your picture up on the wall. Congratulations, you played soccer. If you won first place, you should have a trophy, right? But somebody who didn't do as well, it doesn't matter if they worked hard or not. That's important. That's very important. To them, that should be reward enough. You worked hard, you improved yourself, you became better, but you didn't win all the games, so you don't win the trophy. That's one of the biggest problems, I think, in our society today, is that since probably the early 90s, participation trophies became a thing. I remember my coach when I was a kid, we didn't accept a trophy unless it was first, second, or third. We see the Olympics, first, second, or third, but if there's 8 teams, yeah, there was a trophy there for everybody, but guess what? Not our team didn't get it unless we were first, second, and third. And when we went up to that award ceremony and we didn't get that trophy, what does that make you do? That makes you hungry for it. It makes you pissed off, okay? Pain, both physical and the pain of actually losing, of emotional pain, of seeing somebody else succeed while you aren't. Now, it doesn't mean that we want to think and we want other people to fail, but that should motivate us to want to succeed more. All right. So to me, that is one of my biggest pet peeves is participation trophies. This next one kind of goes along with that one, and that's losing doesn't make you a loser. Only quitting does. Right? So the fact that you didn't win, the fact that you didn't get first place or achieve your set or desired goals doesn't mean you're a loser. It means you lost, and it means that is just one more step towards you becoming successful. You can't have success without losing, right? You need one to have the other. Losing sucks. And, we hear these stories about, he was an overnight success, but what didn't you see? You didn't see the 10, 15, 20 years of them busting their butts and grinding and working their tails off and taking massive risks. up to that point, and then all of a sudden they got their break and it worked. Failing after failure after failure after failure, failing over and over again until they hit it big. Multiple steps in that right direction, multiple failures, failing, learning from that failure, taking the lessons learned and then putting it into the next attempt, and then learning from the mistakes from that one and then putting it into the next attempt. Number 8. So I'm a big fisherman. This is something that I learned from a very young age, and it's bait your own hook and tie your own knots. And what I mean by that one is it's okay to suck at something, because learning how to tie a knot can be difficult. And it's okay to ask for help, right? Putting the worm on a hook, wiggling around, things like that. People don't like to get their hands dirty and slimy and all that stuff from a worm. But you got to do it. You have to be self-sufficient. You have to be able to do it on your own. It doesn't mean that you need to know how to do it right away and that you can't ask for help and learn, but you need to learn how to do it on your own and then do it. Just knowing how to do it isn't sufficient. You have to also do it. All right? You have to be able and be willing to get your hands dirty, whether that's figuratively or literally. This one's kind of funny. There's a little inside joke between me and my dad, and it is ears have walls. Okay, so typically people say walls have ears, right? One time, it was an inside joke, said we had done something, we had said something, one of us, and he would say ears have walls, and he meant to say walls have ears, and we've always just kind of given him a hard time about it. But anyway, all kidding aside, this is huge when it comes to your subordinates, specifically your employees, your junior Marines, your kids, your own kids, and the kids that you coach on your teams or whatever, right? They're always watching. People are always watching, and they're always comparing what you do to what you said, right? And that's going to be throughout your life, right? You need to set the example and live your ethos. What you believe and what you do may be different than other people, but you need to live up to that, what you preach, right? And we all know it's okay to screw up. We're not perfect. We're human. But when you screw up, you need to own it. I told you about one of my favorite books, Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink. There is not a better book out there about owning your screw-ups and becoming a better leader. I don't know that there's a better book out there. I'll link it in the description. You'll see it above here. Check out that book. You got to read it. This one is awesome. All right. Number 10, big baseball player. What happens when a kid gets hit? What do you hear somebody say? Don't rub it, right? Don't rub it. Don't rub it. Don't let the other guy know you're hurt. All right? If you get hit in the arm, you get hit in the hip, you get hit in the leg or whatever, it hurts. It stings. Guess what? Life stings sometimes. It hurts, right? You're going to get bruised, beaten, battered. You can compare, football, basketball, whatever injury you get. Don't rub it, right? Don't let the other guy know you're hurt. Shake it off. Take a breath. Think about it. And then take your base, all right? Number 11. This is kind of a combo. Learn to drive a stick. Learn how to throw a baseball. Learn how to fish. Learn how to shoot a gun. And learn how to love a woman. Because you're going to make it a lot further in life than those that don't know how to do that. This goes towards teaching your sons traditional manly traits that are still valid today. We live in a society that is trying to effeminate males, right? Males are the core of the family. They are the rock. They are the foundation. They are not any more important than the female, than the wife, but they are extremely important. My dad does prison ministries. He's been doing it up in Chicago area. Now he does it down here. And one of the biggest statistics that sticks out is that between 85 and 90% of all inmates grew up in fatherless homes. Fathers need to be there, not only be present, but be emotionally present, not just physically present. And they need to teach their children, boys and girls, values and ethics and how to be a better human being. All right? I speak about, the male side of things. I tend to know that a little bit better. But you have to teach them how to do manly things. All right? Do it. Doesn't have to be those 5 things. Those are the 5 things that I love to do, right? This is a big one in business and just in time saving. But I learned this from my dad, and I say it today, and I still use it today. And I've done this well, and I've done this poorly. And this is, use the right tool for the job. It's going to save you time, frustration, and probably 10 times the amount of money that you would have saved had you used the wrong tool but got it for cheap. This is a big one in business. Hire slow, fire fast. It's very expensive if you do it the other way. Now, what I mean by this is when you go to hire somebody, sometimes you get up to a point, and hopefully you get to a point where you need to grow and you need to hire somebody. If you hire the first person that comes along and you don't go through the right wickets, right, and you don't go through the right steps, it's very likely that you're going to hire the wrong person, and they're going to cost you money, time, and a lot of stress and a lot of aggravation, and you're going to have to fire them anyway. If you do that, or even if you went through all the steps, and sometimes people just stop being as good as they were, or their true personality comes out, and you need to get rid of them, do it right away. The longer you wait, the harder it's going to be, and the more impactful it's going to be on your business in a negative way. Hire slow, fire fast. Here's another one. This is huge. I learned this in the Marine Corps at a very early age as a young officer, and I've been working on it my entire life, and I'm using it as well in coaching. And that's, be quick to praise and be slow to anger or to chastise. And if you do praise in public to the max extent practical. If you chastise, always, not sometimes, always do it in private. All right? That's one of my biggest struggles as a dad and even as a coach, right? It can be very frustrating being a parent. You tell a kid 100 times not to do something or to do something a certain way. And what do? They screw it up. It's not even always intentional. Sometimes it is, and I'm getting into the teenage years with my oldest. So far we're good, but it's coming, right? You got to hold your anger, you got to hold your temper, you got to hold your tongue, because I guarantee you, your words cut deeper. Your tongue is the sharpest blade that's out there. And here's a great example. I told you I love fishing. I took my daughter out fishing, my oldest, Addie, and she loves fishing. That's one of her favorite things to do, and we love to do it together. I've been fishing with her since she was less than a year old, right? So we were out fishing, and I don't know what was going on with me that day. I just was I had a short fuse. She was up in the boat, and we were taking out my newer 17-foot pro angler, and it was one of the first times, I think it might have been the second time she was out in it, and so she's been learning how to cast and work artificial lures and things. So she was doing that. Well, she was just having the time we went before. She did great, awesome, almost flawless, just really good job. Well, this was not her best day, and she was getting things stuck. She was almost hooking me in the face. She broke another rod because she wasn't paying attention and went to snap the rod to go throw the lure out and wasn't paying attention, and just dropping things and banging things, and just one of those days, which very common. And you could compare that to soccer or baseball, where kids just screwing it up here and there, and it gets you to come to a boiling point. Well, anyway, I got to that point, and I lost my temper, and I kind of lost my cool, and I got on her, and I did, you could tell she was visibly upset, and she held back the tears and stuff like that. And after I cooled down, I apologized to her. But unfortunately, the damage had been done, right? Later on that day, we cleaned up the boat, we cleaned the fish. Again, I had apologized, and I talked to her, and she said, okay, it's okay, Dad, and all that stuff. And, I felt bad, but what can I do? I had already done that. Well, my wife and I were talking a little bit later, and we had got on the conversation. She had kind of offhandedly mentioned, asked what happened on the boat. And I got with Addie, and I kind of knew what she meant, and I was explaining to her, and she had said, basically that was what Addie remembered. When Katie asked how the fishing went, she said, "Oh, we were out fishing and Daddy was mad. Daddy was kind of yelling at me." The best of times and the worst of memories, right? And so we were out there should have been having the best of times. We were fishing, beautiful day. The fish were biting. We were catching fish, brought home fish. We went on the beach. We enjoyed ourselves. I kind of forgot about the incident, but that's what she remembers. And that's what she's going to remember about that day for the rest of her life. Now, it doesn't mean that she's going to remember me being angry at her all the time, but that memory was tarnished. That memory was ruined for the rest of their life because I couldn't hold it together and hold my temper, right? So don't make that mistake. That's one of the biggest struggles I have. I've always kind of had a short fuse. I don't mean to. I don't like to. It's just I do, and that's something I have to work on. That's one of my biggest struggles is my patience and my temper. All right, what are we at? 13. The answer to any unasked question is always, what is it? No, right? So I read a great book called Eat That Frog. And I honestly can't remember who wrote the book, but it's a really good book. It's about doing that thing in the day that is the thing you look forward to the least and just getting it out of the way. Eat the frog, right? Just chew it, swallow it, get it out of the way and get it done. In my business, we do a lot of calling sellers and, dealing with people that are trying to sell properties, dealing with investors, dealing with a lot of money. And a lot of times we overestimate what somebody wants or what somebody needs or completely get it wrong because we are putting our preconceived notions onto that seller or onto that investor. And we may think, oh, this is a great deal for them. And we present it and it's not even close because they weren't worried about the money. They were worried about the situation, or they weren't worried about the returns as much as they were about the security and the ease of making money or something like that, right? So make that call, go through your scripts, go through your procedures, and then get it out of the way and then move on, all right? Number 14. This one's huge, and this is one that I think a lot of people in society today do not fully grasp and do not understand and do not appreciate. And that is that nobody owes you anything, right? They don't owe you anything. They don't owe me anything, nothing. Everything you get in life is because of your guts, grit, and determination, all right? It doesn't mean we do it on our own. We obviously cannot do life on our own. If we do, it could be a very miserable, very unfulfilling life, and that's not the way we should do life. But it means that nobody is responsible for your success or failure but yourself. Okay? And number 15. This is the most important to me. Always has been, always will be. I hope you guys, especially the ones that have kids, are married. I hope you do this. I hope you always have. If you haven't or don't, I strongly suggest that you do. And I can guarantee you this is going to, if you don't already, this is going to change your relationship with your spouse and with your kids and any other family that you apply this to. And this is number 15. This is number 1 for me. Tell your wife and tell your kids that you love them every day. I have literally done this every day since I have known my wife, and I've done this every day since my kids have been born, with the exception of being deployed where I literally couldn't get to a phone. But if I couldn't and I could get to a computer, they got an email, they got a Facebook message, something. I tell them every day that I love them. And you should too. You have no idea how important that is to your kids or to your wife. All right? They may not say it, but it is. Do that, and it's going to change your life. If you remember nothing else on here, do number 15, and I guarantee you it's going to change your life. Well, guys, that was supposed to be kind of a short one. I know I kind of went a little bit long. I hope you stuck with me on this one. This is some really important stuff. I really think that this, set of 15 things could drastically change your life. If you're not already doing them, or if you are, make sure that you're passing it on. Make sure that you're teaching your kids and your employees and your kids that you're coaching, or your teammates or whatever. Make sure that you're passing this information on, because having it up here is great, but unless you get it out and get it to other people, it's really not that useful, right? It doesn't have the full effect. Okay? So anyway, really appreciate having you guys here. Please subscribe, please like it, please share it with other people. I want everybody else to be able to learn these things and learn the good things that I've learned and the good things that I've done, but also learn about some of the things that I've screwed up. And I've mentioned a few of these specific examples here in this video, but in other videos, because I want you to be able to take my template and take the good and apply that to your life, and then take the bad stuff and learn. And when you see that situation happening, when you feel your blood starting to boil with your kids or with your teammate or with your spouse, you remember, oh, Jake screwed it up and he regrets and has regretted doing that. Maybe I won't, right? Now, it's still something you're going to have to struggle with, and I guarantee, even if you know it's wrong, it's still going to be hard, but just do it, all right? It's going to be life-changing. All right, guys. Appreciate you guys being here. It's been a blast. I look forward to the next video. Until that time, go out and make some money, and here's to your wealth.